Welcome, guys, back to another episode of The Third Perspective. I'm Jae'Aniyah,
I'm Marciay.
And I'm Logan.
and we're your hosts. Have you guys ever had a time when you were kids and you got into trouble and you didn't understand the consequences of your actions until after the fact?
Yes, I have. I remember this one time when I think I was around at least 11 or 12. And me and my sister and my mom, we were at the park. And my mom, she went to go, run and work out. And I was supposed to be watching my little sister. But instead of me watching my little sister, I was on my phone being, not being the best supervisor,
Yeah.
And, and then I'm looking around like, where's my little sister? Then I saw her on the swings with a stranger.
Oh.
My mom saw it too.
Oh.
She got really, really mad at me for not like keeping an eye out on my sister because you don't know what these people could have done to her. Like, I don't know. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I grounded for 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, and you saying that makes me reminiscent to when I was a kid. Now, I was a very talkative kid at one point, and I used to just run my mouth a lot. So I remember this one time where I ended up telling my parents' business to somebody, and they reported back to her. And when I got home, I got into major trouble. And after that, that's when I realized I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. And ever since then, I have never told my parents' business to anyone.
Yeah. So today, guys, we're going to talk about juvenile justice, and we're going to be discussing cases where young people have been either wrongfully accused or they actually committed the crime at a young age. Now, we're going to be first talking about Kalief Browder. Kalief Browder was accused of stealing a backpack in New York in the 2010s. He was 16 and he couldn't afford bail. He spent 3 years in Rikers Island jail, 2 years in solitary. This case was dismissed, but the trauma led him to take his life later. This sparked national debate about bail reform and youth incarceration.
Okay. What I have to say about this is I find it crazy that this case is allegedly. We don't know if he truly committed this crime or not. But what I want to say now, I don't know what's happening in 2010s because I was just 1 year old. He was poor enough not to be able to get bailed. So I'm gonna assume they was poor. That's why he had to steal a backpack. Now, after all this, it does say allegedly.
Yeah, we found out that Kalief Browder did not steal the backpack. He was wrongfully accused of this theft, and he did not plead guilty. He refused to plead guilty. And they had no evidence against Browder. They dropped the charges because they had no case. However, during this time he spent at Rikers Island, he was in solitary for 2 years. This caused like a major toll on his mental health. And unfortunately, he died by suicide in 2015. Now, like I said in the other episode, mental health is important. I cannot stress this enough. Mental health is a major thing in everyone, especially I feel like it's overlooked. Last episode I said it was overlooked in the Black community, but this just proves he was 16. He was a Black man, first of all. They had no case. Now, let's connect the dots. Do you know how many cases there is about things like this? He was Black and he was 16. He was young. Been a young Black man. Now, he maintained his innocence. I applaud him for that. And I just want to say, rest in peace to Kalief Browder. I'm so sorry for the family because it's just a double whammy. He went to jail for something that he didn't even do. And then he committed suicide at the ripe age of 22.
Yes. And I think he truly didn't be able to like spend his life. Like he ended it so early. And if those who don't know, solitary confinement is being in a room by yourself, a dark room, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You're alone by yourself. That's a toll on your mental health completely. You have no one else to talk to besides the guards who probably mistreating you in there. So it's like that really leads to death. Like, bro, all this time I've spent my teenage years locked in jail for something I didn't commit.
Right.
That's truly horrifying.
Like you said, he was in solitary. I would have went like, I don't know. I'm very dramatic, so I'm like, I can't even do that. I probably would have went crazy or something. I don't know. And I feel like he was just strong to withstand all of that. He was just strong to do that. And even though that led to suicide, he was strong to live those years after that, because that creates trauma that we don't know anything about. Everyone is wired differently. Everyone reacts to trauma differently. So I just want to applaud him for even standing, like being so strong for that. And because some people would have taken the plea. Imagine it was a plea deal. I don't know if that's true or not, but it says he did not plead guilty under any circumstance. So he stood there. Imagine there was a plea and said, "Hey, if you say you're guilty, we give you 1 year." He didn't do that. If hypothetically, he did not do that. That is really, he was really brave for that. He could have just said, "Yeah, I did it," even though he didn't. And there even is a documentary on Netflix, the Kalief Browder story. And yeah, I think we should all watch that, and yeah, we should understand his story even more and go into more depth about it.
Netflix has a lot of shows like that, and it really helps get that perspective of like a young Black teen life, and how just one bad decision can ruin almost your whole life, like your life. Yeah, so I really agree with what you said. The Kalief Browder case is really a sad and traumatic case to look into, because I just couldn't imagine going through something like that myself. Another similar case it's about a young girl named Cyntoia Brown, located in Tennessee, 2004. At the age of 16, she killed a man who was soliciting her for sex. She was a sex trafficking victim, and she was charged as an adult, and she was sentenced to life in prison. But then later she got granted mercy in 2019, which I don't know. That doesn't really sit right with me, because if I'm not mistaken, I would count that as like some type of self-defense. If someone is like trying to get on you and hop on you,
yes,
I would say defend yourself. And then when they say, "Oh, she should have did something," after, because sometimes when you in that position, sometimes you don't make it out alive.
exactly.
So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was Black. She was a young Black girl.
Yes, and I find it crazy because if you don't know, sex trafficking is illegally transporting people from one country to another for sexual exploration. And I think it's unfair that if you kill somebody who sex trafficked you, especially when you were a teen. Oh, I thought she was done. Like, I could have sworn she stopped talking.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's unfair because if you don't know, sex trafficking is the illegal transportation of one person from another area to another for the purpose of sexual exploitation. And I think it's unfair because if someone kills a person who sex trafficked them, especially when they're a teen, the system isn't looking out for them because the teen was already a victim for years. Okay?
Yeah.
Already just like, so they were giving them a life sentence ignores the fact that they were reacting out of years of abuse and fear. And the justice system should weigh that, because why are you charging a victim the same punishment you would charge a serial killer?
Exactly. It's different because it's like she was doing it, like Logan said, it was out of self-defense. It was like she was being held against her consent. She killed the man who was her predator. He tried to ship her off to other countries. He tried to sex traffic her. Now, she's going to jail for defending herself, for wanting better for her life. Now, this is another case where a black person comes into play and is being treated as an adult, and she was 16. Mind you, even if you say, hey, this is wrong, she still shouldn't have killed him. She was 16. Her brain was still undeveloped. It's things not to do. Of course, like we said before, we know not to do it. At the same time, we don't really know the consequences of our actions until after. We just, like in this case, this is important. She was fighting for her life. Literally, she was fighting for her life. She had to gain her control, and I'm proud of her for doing that. Some people just sit there and take it, and some people just do it and just try just as like But she came and she conquered.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really nice of her.
Yes, because a lot of people don't survive situations like that.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly. And people, yeah,
brave. I feel like
for
she's
sure.
a young lady to stand up to somebody like that. Because
yeah, even though you probably wouldn't think, oh, this is the right way to go about this, but she probably had no other way to escape.
Exactly. She had no other way.
Like, and especially like if you think about this here older, you're probably thinking like, oh, I wouldn't have done that. Well, again, she's only 16, and her like frontal brain lobe hasn't even developed yet. So whatever decision, she was merely basing it off her emotions.
Yes. Now, there are cases where it's like the Derek and Alex King case in Florida. They were brothers and they were charged with murdering their father. And the prosecutors wanted to try them as adults. And this case also raised national attention and concerns and questions about whether kids understood the consequences of their actions. Now, there is debates that says, hey, they knew that this is wrong. At this age, you know not to do this. You know not to kill your father. You know this. So this is like a debate between a lot of people, and we're just here to be open to all perceptions of cases like these, because like I said, mental health, and then it could be a mental defect, a mentally ill person. You never know. He may have shown signs and their parents never known, both of them actually, or it may have been trauma. It's just like a lot of factors that could be their reason why they did this murder. So there's plenty of cases like that, killing their parents, children, as the age is 7, 8, killing their friends or something like that, and or conspiring to kill. And it's concerns that says, hey, you know that this is wrong, but there's also concerns, hey, they're young, their brains are still undeveloped, so do they know the full consequence? Oh, do they know how detrimental this is?
Yeah, I agree. Especially because some brothers were 12 and 13. I don't think they fully understood what they were doing until it happened.
Exactly.
Like, they probably was just like, yeah, like honestly, we don't know what they were thinking. Like, we don't know what type of, like, honestly, some kids are cruel at certain ages because, some, like, when you see about serial killers, they are killing animals. So as they 6 years old, okay? Now, they are cruel, okay? But
serial killers.
Yeah.
Logan, yes.
Yeah, so those like psychopaths and stuff. Now, we don't exactly, like, we're not like saying, oh, we're not advocating for like killers and stuff, but it's just like they are very, very young. We don't know why they did it. We don't know like what gave them that motive. It's just like they are very young. Yeah. 12 and 13, I don't think you should be doing something like that. But it's a lot of kids that will just do stuff. So, yeah.
And like Logan said, those are signs of serial killers. There's a bunch of movies and real life cases where serial killers kill animals. You never know. Like, those are the signs. And some parents overlook it, or like they go hunting and they kill an animal, and the child just seems to enjoy it like a lot. And so, like Logan says, those are signs. And we see this in Jeffrey Dahmer. He was killing animals, and he just loved to do that. And you never know the sign there is. And now I understand that, like, you know, if you see the signs, you ignore them, and then they go on to be a serial killer. You shouldn't be like, "Oh my goodness, my child is a serial killer." No. As soon as you see something that's like, "Oh, they might be a psychopath," you have to be realistic with yourself. You can't sugarcoat it. You have to be like, "Huh, why are they doing this?" You need to go to the doctor or something like that. So this is also, we need to focus on these cases because it also brings awareness. That is one of the goals of our podcast, to bring awareness to situations that could be your brother, your sister, your cousin, whoever. And yeah, this is serious.
Yeah, I definitely agree because especially if you notice your child doing anything, I don't want to say out of the ordinary, but out of the ordinary, please go seek help. Like that could mean in therapy or rehab. Like I don't think you really need rehab, but therapy, like specialized schools and mentorship programs, just so they won't lead astray into the way of possibly being a killer.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Sometimes kids, they don't really understand like the meaning of death or
Mm.
like the meaning of death and like how serious and how like the really like I don't really know how to put it, but because some parents, they don't really teach, like, because I don't know, it's TV, because I don't know, it's something that's because yes, I really agree with what you're saying, Jay and I. Like I was gonna say earlier, kids who harm animals are definitely, or who enjoy harming animals, definitely should go get checked out, because it's like some part of the brain that therapists usually look at to like see some type of issue, and they prescribe them some type of medication.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And after hearing these cases, I have one last one to talk about, and I'll talk about Jessie Owens of Watertown, South Dakota. Now, I did this research myself, and I got this from appa.org, I believe. So, at age 17, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of a parole in 1998. Now, why, you ask? Because she broke into a home to steal money. I'm pretty sure with a friend. And when the owner unexpectedly walked in during the robbery, Owens beat him to death with a hammer and was sentenced to life in parole. But in 2014, a lawyer a lawyer that Owens had hired her a forensic psychologist. Now I want to be a forensic scientist, so I wanted to find cases that were similar to what I was interested in. So they had her evaluate her case, and they realized that juvenile homicide offenders violated the Constitution ban on cruel and unusual punishments during the Supreme Court decision in Miller v. Alabama. Now, so the forensic psychologist they had noted that Owens had been abused and neglected as a child and used drugs and alcohol as a teen. But while she was in jail and incarcerated, she decided to do better. But I keep saying, but they had reported that at the time of her original sentence, Owen had not grasped her crime had affected the family and community. And now that you realize it, now a lot of kids who kind of end up doing bad things, like they don't realize what they're doing until the last minute. Like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't realize how bad that that would become. And I think it's because again, she was abused and neglected as a child and
Mm-hmm.
used drugs and alcohol. So I think what happened in her brain was, okay, I don't know any, but she really didn't know any better because this is all she used to. So she probably didn't think it was a bigger consequence as it was for everybody to realize. Now I
Yeah,
think that's an insane thing to do when
it
you're robbing
is.
somebody and then you start to beat them to death. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's actually insane. But again, she didn't fully grasp what she was doing. Again, she's 17. The same decision, like me personally, I don't think I would have made that decision
Mhm.
Right.
because, well, I wouldn't be robbing anybody in the first place because I'd be scared to go to jail. I am. So,
Yeah.
but like, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I'd like, I'd be in tears.
Yeah.
So,
I think
I, yeah,
we have to put ourselves in her shoes, honestly. Like
yeah,
it's things that has to be factored in into she also did this for a reason. Well, maybe she did, maybe she just you never know. That's why we really
yeah,
can't really say anything because we can't really judge because we don't know what actually like, what she was thinking. And
exactly,
when she seen that man, she was like, "Oh, he finna kill me, so I gotta kill him first." But not saying that this is right. This is not right at all. So it's just like, this is where the debate comes in, is where that was wrong. Why would you kill a man when you're robbing his house? But hey,
exactly. And again, she was with an older female. Now,
hmm
it didn't get into what if the older female got sentenced and what she did and whatnot. But I'm gonna say, well, why were you robbing with an older female anyway? Now, I'm not gonna put
right.
the blame, but when your thoughts, it's telling me like, did you make her do this, or did she think of who thought of the idea?
hmm
So, like, let's. But again, Jessie was the one who did commit the crime. So again, but as research, we have realized that she fully wasn't aware of what she was actually doing.
Yeah.
And our brain that helps us think logically and control impulses, it hasn't been developed.
Yes. It hasn't really because we're still younger. We have to be mindful that we're still young. We like we said, well, like yeah, like we said in the last episode, we are still young. Our brains are still not developed. So when we're thinking we're doing the right thing or this is the only way out, this is where we need people to talk to us like, hey, this is not your only option. Hey, keep hope, whatever, something to get you off that thought because robbing isn't good, but in certain circumstances, poverty, like we said last episode, poverty and getting all that frustration built up, it's just, it causes you to snap. So like this episode was meant to be an eye opener for everyone to have open perspectives of these type of cases with children and teenagers because you never know what's going through their heads and you never know the circumstances that may have caused them to do this crime.
Yes.
Yes.
And also, behavior and thinking in teens our age. Teens like us, we're more likely to like make risky decisions because of the dopamine.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Our control system is like underdeveloped. It's not
Mm-hmm.
fully developed yet. So
Yeah.
we tend to like do more riskier things than just to think about it first and see,
Mm-hmm.
wow, like if I do this, what would happen? It's
Right.
like,
Mm-hmm.
we just jump into it because we have like little to no self-control at our age because
Mm-hmm.
it's still kind of developing and getting into that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So totally. And some takeaways from this episode is saying to be open to cases like this. Come with a new mindset. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Hey, you might say, I would never do that. It's easy to
Right.
say that when like you're not in their position. And I said that all the time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I would never do that. But then when I think about it, I'm like, hey,
Right.
you never know. And so like Jay and I was talking about how people are at least teenagers, even adults, um, which is why we need what I'm about to say. They need to learn how to control their emotions, and I think we need emotion classes to understand which emotion you're feeling, to understand how to deal with it, and then you get better and better. See, especially coming from a bad or a tore down lifestyle, you aren't
Mm-hmm.
really exposed to things like that. And I don't think anybody really is. So that's why it's kind of hard for teenagers and kids to properly regulate their emotions and express them. And so that's why I think it should be a class, even a required class in elementary, middle school, even high school, for kids to take and, regulate your emotions, and maybe even therapy. I think therapy should be free. Hey, that's just a hot take. But I think that's what people need because, and even me, because I say that to my mom all the time. I feel like I need to regulate my emotions right, and I need therapy and everything and all that stuff. But yeah, that's just things to take away from this episode. Please, when you're watching or when you're reading, whenever you're digesting new cases like this, be mindful of the circumstances and try to be open. And yeah, like let's just be nice and be empathetic with people that do stuff like this, even though you may say, hey, they knew this was wrong.
Right. You
Just
got to look in their perspective.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Something in me is saying like she went into this man's house
Uh-huh.
going to rob you,
Yeah.
and she ended up getting caught, and she was like, oh my gosh, oh no, I'm gonna, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
beat him to death
what?
with a hammer. Yeah, that really caught me off guard.
Yeah. That
Like
caught us all off guard.
I would have thought Charlie would have ran away. I
Yeah.
Exactly.
mean, that was the most logical answer, was to get out of the house before he got like. But maybe it was like we don't like in the article. It doesn't mention like how like what happened. Like did he
Right. Maybe
like pull out a gun or whatever, whatever.
I don't
But
know.
I still don't think that's the case to start
She
Yeah.
could
beating
have
somebody with a
And
hammer.
and my mom could have just ran away, but she retaliated in a way that like changed her life entirely.
yes,
Exactly.
exactly. And maybe she was raised like you. It's the saying that says you are a product of your
But
environment. What if
mm,
Mm,
raised to be, a killer, a thug, Maybe she was raised to, hey, you not about to kill me, so I gotta kill you first. So you never know what was going through her mind, but I do understand what you're saying, Logan. You're saying like, hey, you're not gonna run away, you're just gonna beat the man to death, and you're just not like you're already robbing his house. So it's just like, yeah, I understand that too. So it's like a debate between these type of cases where it's like, hey, you understand, but then at the same time, I don't know why you I don't know why you just didn't do this or but hey, how can we really judge if we're standing from the outside and somebody's not looking in? Like you never know what's going through a person's brain or something like that.
right.
exactly. And when she was in jail, I think she was doing good, you know. She earned her GED and worked diligently in multiple jobs, even offering to take care of a dying inmate. So I think as
Mm,
she grew, she realized like
yeah,
I really messed up. And she started to change a little. Like that one, like even though that change wouldn't like change the outcome of her like
yeah,
killing somebody, but at least she was changing, and I think probably the victim family wouldn't think that,
yeah,
but it was just because she did kill somebody after robbing their house.
yeah.
So
That's good that she tried to change her life and she's trying to change her life and trying to do better. I mean, at the same time, like you said, she was 17, although that's a pretty old age to commit a heinous crime like that and, commit murder. But, she was still 17, she's still learning, all this other stuff. But yeah, I'm glad that she's trying to do better and hopefully, she gets a second chance at life.
yeah, and I'll say most of these crimes happened back in the day, and I think most of us, I think just in the generation, I think we realize what our consequences is, just how we, what we see and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, do you guys have any more takes?
No,
oh no, I think we're good.
we're
Okay,
good.
and I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to our second episode of our podcast, The Third Perspective, Unscripted Intellect. Catch you guys on next week's episode, next Wednesday, 6:30 p.m.
Okay, bye.
Bye.